Now, is the latest lunar mission on the verge of failure? The Vulcan Centaur rocket took off yesterday from Cape Canaveral in Florida to attempt a soft landing on the moon. But it is, we understand, now experiencing a fuel leak, and so the mission's life could be measured in just hours. To tell us more, Julia Seeger, our science editor, is with us. And Julia, look, you were here yesterday telling us about this story. All seemed to have gone well at the beginning, but what's happened since?
It did indeed. We looked at the launch of Vulcan Centaur. It launched smoothly, on time. Everything went well. 50 minutes later, after takeoff, Peregrine, which is a moonlander that was on board, separated also smoothly from the rocket, and they were able to power it up, and communication was established. But unfortunately, a few minutes later, an anomaly occurred, and initially preventing the company from stirring the device towards the sun so that it could recharge its batteries thanks to the solar panels that are on the device. Because as you know, the goal, of course, fuel is very heavy. So the goal when you go to space is to try to avoid having too much weight on the aircraft. And there's no intermittency up there because there's no, the sun is always there. So we tend to want to tilt the device towards the sun to power it. Then afterwards, they did an improvised maneuver, and they were able to maneuver it again towards the sun, but then to only realize that the anomaly was actually coming from the propulsion system, and that indeed there was a huge leak, and that's actually pushing Peregrine, so the moonlander, out of alignment with the sun. Now, they shared a picture on social media. Later on, you're going to see the exterior of the device visibly damaged, and for them, it's actually showing, and it's supporting the claim that there's a propulsion system problem. Now, it's impossible now to smooth land. The company has said so that's out of the question for now. But what they're going to want to do now is try to get Peregrine as close as possible to the moon with the 40 hours of fuel that it still has.
And Julia, explain to us why this mission is so important for the US.
Well, first of all, let's talk about Astrobotic, which is the startup who created the moonlander. It was it was hoping to become the first private company to successfully land on the moon, and because it's an American company, it would have been a way also for the US to set foot again on the moon 50 years after the end of the Apollo mission. It's also important because it's the first flight of the rocket that was created, a Vulcan Centaur rocket that was created by ULA, which is a joint venture between Boeing and Lockheed Martin. So it would have been also maybe seen as a success for the American military because they're so close and they collaborate so much with both companies. But of course, it's very important for NASA, first and foremost, because the goal was to conduct scientific experiments, study a little bit more the composition of the surface, but also the radiations. The goal of this moonlander was to bring material from NASA on the moon to be able to conduct those experiments. And it was also the first inaugural flight of many others that are to follow because NASA has this Artemis mission.